Welcome to gcready.com. Let us see some of the questions on manual testing. Interview questions on web testing. What is web testing? Web testing is the name given to software testing that focuses on testing the web applications. Web testing, in simple terms, is checking your web application for potential bugs before it is made live or before code is moved into the production environment. During this stage, issues such as that of web application security, the functioning of the site, its access to be handicapped, as well as regular users and its ability to handle the traffic is checked. What is a web application? A web application is any application that uses a web browser as a client. The application can be as simple as a message board or a guest sign-in book on a website, or it is as complex as a word processor or a spreadsheet. What are the two types of web applications? Basically, there are two types of web applications. One is client side and the other is server side. Client side web application executes at client side, that is on the browser, and all the resources of the pages loads only at the client side. On the other hand, server-side web applications executes at central server, in which page lifecycle goes on at server end. What are the different types of web application testing techniques? The testing is totally based on your web testing requirements, but following is the standard checklist of web testing, that is functionality testing, usability testing, compatibility testing, database testing, crowd testing, interface testing, performance testing, and security testing. What is functionality testing? This testing is used for checking all the links of the web pages, form testing, cookie testing, and database connection. Functional testing is testing the functionality of the software application under test. Basically, it is to check the basic functionality mentioned in the functional specification document, and also check whether software application is meeting the user's expectations. We can also say that checking the behavior of the software application against the test specification. How to test the web forms? In the web application testing, the form testing is the essential part of testing any website. The main purpose of form is to get the information from the user and store into the database and keep on interacting with them. First thing to test in the form is the validations on each form fields. Here, two types of validations need to be considered, that is, client side and server side validations. What is usability testing in web testing? Usability testing performs with reference to the end user. In usability testing, we find how easily the end user can access the application. In terms of websites and software applications, usability is defined as the ease at which a person with no programming knowledge can use the software to complete the desired task. Usability is comprised of the following: learnability. Learnability is how easy it is for a new user to accomplish the task the first time they visit your website. Memorability is how easy it is for someone to come back to using your website after they haven't used it for a period of time. Efficiency is how quickly the users can complete the task on your site after they are familiar with its use. Define performance and stress testing. Performance testing. Performance testing is performed to evaluate the application performance under some load and stress conditions. It is generally measured in terms of response time for the user activity. It is designed to test the whole performance of the system at high load and stress conditions. Stress testing. It involves imposing the database with heavy loads, such as large numbers of users access the data from the same table, and that table contains large number of records. How do you perform testing on web-based application using QTP? We can do the performance testing using the QTP by adding the web add-in in the QTP at the startup of the QTP. Now, to make the URL of the website available to the QTP, we have to type the URL of the site so that while running the QTP, we'll open the application and do the testing. What is cookie testing? Cookies are the small files used by the websites to primarily remember active user sessions. So you do not need to log in every time you visit the website. Cookie testing will include testing the cookies, that is, sessions are deleted either when cache is cleared or when they reach their expiry, and delete the cookies and test that login credentials are asked for when you next visit the site. What is crowd testing? You will select a large number of people, that is a crowd, to execute the test which otherwise would have been executed by a select group of people in the company. Crowdsourced testing is an interesting and upcoming concept, and it helps unravel many unnoticed defects. Simply, this is complementary to normal testing. The main complicated job of crowd testing is determining a good enough crowd. What is database testing? Database testing is one critical component of your web application, and stress must be laid to test it thoroughly. Testing activities include: test if any errors are shown while executing the queries. Data integrity is maintained while creating, updating, or deleting the data in the database. Check response time of queries and fine-tune them if necessary. Test data retrieved from your database is shown accurately in your web application. What is the difference between web-based testing and Windows-based testing? Web-based testing is concerned with the following: broken links in the web pages, performance of web-like response time, graphical user interface, text on the page. Whereas in Windows-based testing, we look for functionality and integration. How is security testing being performed? To perform the security testing, tester try to attack the system. This is the best way to determine the loopholes in the security area of the application. Most of the systems use encryption technique to store the passwords. In this, we have to try to get access to the system by using different combinations of passwords. Another common example of security testing is to find if the system is vulnerable to SQL injection attacks. While performing the security testing, tester cannot do any changes in any of the following, that is, configuration of the application or the server, services running on the server, existing user or customer data hosted by the application. What is the difference between authentication and authorization in web testing? The differences between authentication and authorization are: authentication is the process with which the system identifies the user. whereas authorization is the process after the authentication process. The authentication is used to ensure that the user is indeed a user who he claims to be, whereas in authorization, system will decide whether a particular task can be performed by the user. There are different types of authentications which can be used like password-based authentication, device-based authentication, whereas in authorization there are two types, that is read-only and read-write both. What is website testing? Website testing is a type of software testing which deals with the testing of the website. Website testing is performed on the website to check the functionality, performance, usability, database related issues, and browser related issues. To perform this testing, we have so many tools like JMeter, Selenium, QTP, etc. What are the web testing tools? Some of the web testing tools are JMeter. It is load and performance tester. JMeter is a Java desktop application which is used to create the load test environment and measure the performance of the application during the load test. It can be used to examine the performance of static and dynamic websites. Selenium. Selenium is web app testing tool. It contains several applications like Selenium IDE, Selenium Remote Control, and Selenium Grid to examine and evaluate the web application. What are the test scenarios for testing a website? First, we have to assume that graphical user interface, objects and elements of a website together is one test scenario. Then we have to check all the links and buttons. Then we have to check all forms are working properly or not. Prepare the test scenarios of the forms of a web page. We can identify 4 different types of test scenarios of a form. That is, check the form with valid data in all the fields. Check the form with invalid data which violate the validation of the fields in the form. Check the form by leaving some mandatory fields in the form and check the form with existing record details. During the testing a website, what are the different configurations that have to be considered? These configurations may demand for change in strategy of the web page. The most important factors that need to be considered are hardware platform. Some users may use the Mac platform and some may use Linux while others may use Microsoft platform. Browsers. Browser and their versions also change the layout of the web page. Along with the browser versions, the different plugins also has to be taken into consideration. The resolution of the monitor also with color depth and text size are some of the other configurations. What is focus testing in a website? Focus testing is used to test that when we open a web page, the cursor automatically blink on the particular field. Like in the case of Gmail login page. When we open the Gmail login page, the cursor automatically blinks on the username field. This is the focus testing in the website. What are the steps you will perform for securing a new web server? Some of the important steps to be carried out for securing the web server are following. Minimize the rights, update the permissions, delete default data and scripts, make use of software firewall, enable and make use of IIS logging and regular backup. What is the difference between the static and dynamic website? The differences between static and dynamic website are following. A static website contains web pages with fixed content, whereas in dynamic website, content of the web page change with respect to time. Static websites are easy to create and they don't require any database design. But in case of dynamic website, it requires good knowledge to develop the website with programming and database knowledge. In static website, user cannot communicate with other and same information will be displayed to each user. Whereas in dynamic website, user may communicate with each other. What is cross-site scripting? Cross-site scripting is a thread in the dynamic website. It is also known as XSS. Cross-site scripting occurs when a web application gathers malicious data from a user. The data is collected in the hyperlink form, which contains malicious content within it. It allows malicious code to be inserted into the web page. The web page can be a simple HTML code or a client-side script. When the malicious code is inserted into the page and clicked by some user, the malicious code becomes a part of the web request of the user. This request can also execute on the user's computer and steal the information. What are the typical problems in web testing? The following problems may arise in web testing. They are functionality problems, user interface related problems, performance related problems, database related problems, OS compatibility problems, browser compatibility problems, security related problems, load related problems, and navigation problems. What are the common bugs in web testing? In the web-based testing, following bugs are very common. They are issues in navigation of the application, usability, cosmetic issues and GUI issues, functional issues, performance issues, that is how much time it takes to display the page to the user. Load, how much load an application can handle at any point of time. Stress, at how much load application will crash. Flow of data, information which is entered by the user is stored in correct format or not. If proper static information is not displayed along with text fields to enter the data and links are broken, default focus is not set in forms and tab key not working, all keyboard shortcuts are not fully functional. These are the common bugs in web testing.